Good morning, team. As we have covered the SOC 2 implementations regarding security controls CC1 to CC9, availability controls, processing integrity tabs, and confidentiality is the running part. So, today we will discuss what is confidentiality and what are the subparts with examples and how to implement the confidentiality documentations verifications for SO2 certifications. Okay, so let's start with the definitions part. Why confidentiality criteria in SO2? How many subparts are there? Explain with examples. So, confidentiality criteria focuses on protecting sensitive information that is designed as confidential by a customer, client, legal, or regulatory requirement. The criteria is defined under the common criteria CC and extended with C1X series for confidentiality. So, C1.x generally we denote for confidentiality criteria numbers. Example. If we want to achieve the confidential criteria, then C1.1 we need to comply where policies and procedures for confidentiality means documentations part should comply under C1.1. C1.2 is the next subpart or confidentiality which talks about access and encryption controls to safeguard confidential information means technical controls. C1.3 talks about confidentiality obligation with third parties, NDA, contractors, vendors, etc. So what are the kind of non-disclosure documents it talks about in C1.3? C1.4 talks about once all these business partners are terminated, then what is the process of retention and a disposal of confidential data. So this is the definition of confidentiality and specific control series comes under this. Next part is our main agenda which talks about how to implement the confidentiality level. Okay, so I had divided this Excel into two parts. Number one is targeted controls. This column applies from column number A to column number A. Second controls I have divided from F to onwards. So targeted controls were current controls. Targeted control talks about what is the ideal controls mentioned in AICPA as per the SOC 2. So targeted controls are the ideal controls and current controls or existing control means what is your existing situation of the organization you need to mention here. Okay, and if gap is there then you need to mention the gap yes or no, then what is the implementation status, then owner, then due date, target, then evidences location. So let's explain one by one. C1.1 is the confidentiality requirements for identification and communication. The focus area is policies and procedure for confidential. Here as I talk already, C1.1 is about the policies and procedure for confidential. So you need to collect evidence like data classification policies marking confidential sensitive data. So in your current organization if you have the data classification policies, how many types of data classification like public, internal, confidential and restricted. So if you have the data classification in your current existing policies, then you can mention as yes. Okay, yes. And gap is there, no gap is there because what is required from the SOC 2 agency you already have this. So let me just mention the exact one. So data classification policy is available. Okay, sorry, spelling is not correct. Is available. Okay, let me manage it first. And existing gap, yes or no? Yes, gap no, sorry, gap is no there because because whatever are the recommendations from the software agency that you already have. Okay, that's why there is no gap. Status you can mention as completed because you already have. Okay, owner you can mention anyone, for example mine, I mentioning my name, due that not applicable, and evidences locations, right, where it is this data classification policies you stored, mention the locations. Okay, second thing is a client contracts with confidential clauses. If you have the multiple, okay, let me just map here as a star to just clearly identifiable at all. Okay, star. Okay, next is I'm mentioning as double star, and accordingly I am also wanted to tag as double star. Okay, so that double star it's tagged with double star here. Okay, next is asking client contracts with confidentially clauses, means whoever are the business partners, if you have the legal documents and all, whatever are the requirement mentioned in the evidences example, yes, I have the client contracts with confidential clauses available. Okay, here no gap is there, so just mention as no. Okay, completed. Spelling is not correct. Completed. Okay, due date not applicable. So like this you need to cover all these sessions like employee NDA samples, internal training records or confidential. So I have just given these as a demo example. Like in this way you need to identify the gap assessment. Okay, and let me just discuss one of the technical controls which is not applicable. Okay, which is not implemented yet. Okay, let's take C1.2. Here it's talk about the confidential control implementation technical one. Here what is the ideal situation? Ideal situation is data encryption process AES 256 for storage. Okay, TLS for transit. So if I would in my current organization, right, let me just mention here. Okay, data encryption controls is not available. Okay, so here gap is there. You can mention why I had mentioned as is because the recommendation is having at least AES 256 or AES 512 for TLS, but in your current organization, right, this is not implemented yet, so it is mentioning. Okay, gap is there. Status you can say that not completed or in progress. Okay, in progress. Okay, who is the owner? I am mentioning my name, you can mention yours. Due date, yes, what due date means what is the target date to implement this control. So today is the 20th July. I am mentioning here as 1st August. So by 1st August, this control would be implemented because it the target date I had mentioned, and evidence location once it's implemented, you can collect as the evidences here. So like this, you need to cover C1.3, which talks about the confidentiality controls are operated and monitored. Quarterly review access, log showing access to confidential documents, audit trails from Google workspace, etc. Incident response logs. C1.4 talks about the disposal of informations. So where these are the evidences, ideal evidences you need to collect from your organizations. So like this, you need to perform the gap assessment in your organization. So I will attach this Excel sheet For your reference, so these examples I have given as a demo, so I am deleting these ones. Okay, so anything else guys, if you want support regarding the SOC 2 or any special topic from the GRC or cyber security, or any topics you want to discuss, kindly let me know in comments. Or if you require support in interview preparations, you can also let me by doing your comments guys. This channel is dedicated for the interview preparation and interview questions with answers for job seekers who wants to boost their career in GRC or cyber security. So kindly subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to share this channel. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.